It was not Radio 4, mate.
No, not to you, mate. This is my Radio 4, this. I never got to do the attachment. Hey, Matt.
Hey. That might come up, Steve.
I mentioned you last week, actually. Funnily enough, Matt. Yeah.
Oh, did you? I've been trailed. Wow.
I got taught when you were doing the shipping forecast. And we had a conversation.
Oh.
Who's this?
The pace.
I wasn't there for that conversation.
No, it's just
when I'm not here.
Just Matt. No, it might have been before you joined. I can't remember when you did your attachment.
I was.
2001.
Yeah.
Oh my! 4 years ago.
That's just nuts.
I know, right?
That's nuts. We have to be careful, of course, because it's going to be played out in the podcast. I discovered last week to my shock. Matt, anything you say now, Matt will put out on the podcast. There's no filter, really.
Only if it's going to cause trouble.
Yeah, I know. Yes.
Yeah.
I sounded like I could not be bothered last week in last week's intro.
It was great.
Steve, you're right. Oh, yeah, all right. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, whatever.
You were discombobulated, which is, part of your brand, isn't it?
Yes, it is our brand. Yes, that's true. That's true.
No, your brand.
Oh, we're back in the charts, by the way. We're 109. Yeah.
We're what? Sorry.
We're 109.
We're 109 in the Apple Podcast book chart.
Yes.
Wow.
We have been to 35 at one point, Matt, but then we just disappeared without trace for about a month. So yeah.
Okay. Did someone else? Did someone come up with the rest is audiobooks?
Well, similar. It does come to a pretty penny, but there's about 5 podcasts called Audiobook Club, so we probably haven't done ourselves a favour. But
oh crap! Well, I did search for it, and you're the first result. So.
We were the first, but
we're also the best.
Well, yeah,
of course.
Right, get on with it, Steve.
People like humility, don't they?
Steve, we're recording.
Okay. It's going to go out, this, by the way, isn't it?
Well, it will do now.
Okay, of course it will do. Okay, in 3, 2, 1.
Audiobook Club with Steve Phillips and Matthew Layton.
On this episode of Audiobook Club, a walk in the woods with a young Bill Gates.
For the rest of that day, my mind was immersed in my coding puzzle. As we descended to the valley floor, the snow gave way to a gently sloping trail through an old forest of spruce and fir trees until we reached the river, set up camp, ate our Spam stroganoff, and finally slept. By early the next morning, we were climbing back up the low divide in heavy wind and sleet that whipped sideways in our faces. We stopped under a tree long enough to share a sleeve of rich crackers and continued. Crossing a stream, Chip fell and gashed his knee. Mike cleaned the wound and applied butterfly bandages. Now we moved only as fast as Chip limped. All the while, I silently honed my code. I hardly spoke a word during the 20 miles we hiked that day.
Audiobook Club with Steve Phillips and Matthew Layton.
Hello and welcome to Audiobook Club, the podcast about audiobooks that doesn't have any friends because it's just a series of ones and zeros. Given how we've just played that clip from Bill Gates there, I do recall the Steve Jobs biography, and it was all about LSD and you're in a chakra and everything, and here we have Bill Gates, pretty much true to form as I would expect, talking about Spam sandwiches and gashes. So there we are. Anyway, moving on. This week we have a special guest with us. We have Mr. Matt Jones. Hello, Matt. How are you?
Hello,
yes,
Steve
very
Phillips.
good.
How are
Thank
you?
you. Live from Holland, and we've got Matt Layton as ever.
You meant to do me first. You meant to do me first and ask why we've invited Matt Jones on, and then I would have told you. I can't believe this.
So, Matt, tell me why we've invited Matt on. That question's to Matt, by the way.
Well, increasing diversity, as you pointed out. Now, the bit where you said a series of ones and zeros, how would you describe Matt Jones's relationship to the collective you and me, Steve?
A very, very good friend, a very good and dear old colleague. Not a friend of the show. I'm trying to avoid saying that phrase, although by dint of me just saying that, I have just said it, of course. But I would say the friendly face of Noughts and Ones, constantly getting us out of technical trouble, basically, whenever you press the big red button you shouldn't have pressed at work.
He was. I think there is no man better qualified to guide us through this audiobook for a couple of reasons. Number one, Matt is an incredible broadcaster, and he beat everybody by the age of 25, gave up and did something else. You have heard him read the shipping forecast. You've heard him on BBC Radio's 1 to 5 live. Have you done 4, Matt? Done Radio 4?
Yeah.
5 live.
Done 3? You done 3?
Have you done 3?
No.
Traffic and Travel on BBC Radio 3.
Got to catch them all.
Right, yeah.
I worked on 3 once. It was my first job at national BBC level, and how times have changed. I worked on Tune In, which was their drive time show with Sean Rafferty, and part of my job was to order the daily fruit platter.
Wow. The BBC of the old days, eh?
It's a glamorous world, isn't it?
It's me.
It was till the budgets got cut, yeah.
Yes.
The other reason that Matt is here, and the reason that I started listening to this book the other night, and even in the opening chapter, Bill Gates talks about pride in coding. And the only other person I've heard say that, Matt, when he went on to his second career, I just remember in the pub once, he banging the fist on the table, why doesn't anybody take any pride in their code?
Really?
I was hoping someone would chime in with that line, because it's just gone to hell in a handcart, isn't it, code these days? Yeah.
I really said that?
So,
oh dear.
As a broadcaster and as someone who can help us through the technical quagmires of this book and perhaps give us a bit of context, I thought that Matt would be the perfect guest, Steve.
You can be honest and just say I'm a nerd.
No,
That's
it's not going to happen. Not going to happen. We hold you in too high esteem here, Matt. And Matthew, thank you so much for inviting Matt on. It was a genius move because, frankly, you know what would have happened? It was just the two of us flailing around, wondering what C++ and Java actually is. Is it a country? Who knows? Who knows?
Who cares, eh?
Technology has been could well be our downfall, Matt. Given the way of the world.
Well, indeed.
Let's open that True Social account. That's not going to happen, obviously.
Stay in the bubble.
Obviously not.
It's a bit scrappy, Steve. Isn't it your job to hold all this together?
It certainly is. Now, Matt, this is the first time we've spoken on this podcast and had you on. So what is your experience with audiobooks?
Well, I was this is actually my first ever experience with an audiobook. I've never actually listened to an audiobook before, which seems weird. I mean, I've listened to sort of long-form newspaper articles and stuff, but I've never actually listened to an audiobook kind of all the way through. And so actually it's not just been an exercise in assessing or reviewing this audiobook, but also like listening to it as part of a commute. What happens when you get to the end of the day and you need to pick up your audiobook and you need to skip back to sort of get some context to remind you where you were. So yeah, it's been quite an experience actually. It's my first ever audiobook experience. And knowing very little about audiobooks is obviously a good qualification for me appearing on your podcast.
Absolutely. The only guests we have are people who've never listened to audiobooks before in their lives. If we just sort of nestle on that subject just for a moment, and we'll get into the book. But how have you found the format?
Yeah, I mean, in terms of the kind of the tech, I guess. I mean, like the app, super simple to it was Audible. It was shared by Matthew. Yeah, it was easy to get hold of. I mean, the audio quality is a little bit. I mean, I'm a bit of an audio stickler for audio quality.
Absolutely.
So
you're not going to fit around
here. A little bit. No, I know.
Don't listen to the outcome of this one. No, it is the best. Matt is a genius. He's a genius for this.
But no, it was very good. Yeah, I thought it was it was very, very exciting, and I may be persuaded to pick up an audiobook sort of recreationally, without having the burden of having to review it for without having to do it for homework.
Well, we'll come on maybe to that towards the end of the podcast. Actually, sort of books you might want to listen to in the audio form if you do it again. But I guess, Matt, should we get into the 3 steps?
Let's do our 3-step process. So we will be talking about the author. That's our first port of call. Then we talk about the text, and then number 3, and I know Matt's aching to get into this, we'll talk about the audiobook production and the performances, and do we think that that brings anything to the party? Is it any good? So we'll start with the author. William Henry Gates III, born October the 28th, 1955, is an American businessman and philanthropist. I love people who call themselves philanthropists. Best known for co-founding the software company Microsoft with his childhood friend Paul Allen. He later held the positions of chairman, chief executive officer, president, and chief software architect of the company. Gates was also its largest individual shareholder until May 2014. He was a pioneer of the microcomputer revolution of the 1970s and 1980s. Matt, do you know what? Every time I see you, I'm intrigued to see what Apple has brought out next. You definitely land on that side of the fence, don't you? You're more Apple than PC. What does Bill Gates look like from over there for you? What does he mean?
Well, actually, so I may be an Apple fanboy these days, but actually my first kind of experience of computing was with a PC and was with DOS, which was what Microsoft was known for. Microsoft came up with this program, for want of a better explanation, to make your computer usable, which is DOS. There were various permutations of how we got to that stage, which were not really technical, but mainly involving other larger companies. So essentially, there were a number of deals that went on in order to get to that place. But basically, Microsoft's first product was DOS, MS-DOS, and then they moved into, which was again a piece of software that allows you to make your computer usable, and then from there it went on to Windows, which was a more graphical way of allowing you to interact with a computer, and then on top of that, Office, we all know Word, Excel. Anyone who works at a desk job knows exactly what Word and Excel are. So yeah, it all started with the first thing that they ever did as a company, really, which was MS-DOS, and that was where I came in. I mean, I never really used Apple stuff because Apple's equipment was mainly American. It was sort of mainly used in education, so there was quite a difference there. I should explain, just to give some background, just to give some context. The reason I sort of got into this was because my parents are both techies, nerds. My mum was a computer programmer back in the days when that meant programming, when you wrote your programs onto bits of punch tape and cards. My dad wasn't really a programmer. He was more of a sort of into the hardware, but we always had computers around the house, and so I always had a computer, which is, I think, for a kid in the 1980s is probably quite rare.
Incredible, Matt. That's incredibly cool. Your mum was a computer programmer.
Yeah, back in the day, back when that meant not really. I mean, computers were very, very different back in sort of the 60s and 70s. I mean, they were huge, they were expensive, and they didn't really do much. It's not like these days where a computer hosts a whole series of apps that connects you to a whole series of online services, social media, websites, and all the rest of it. Computers were huge and bulky and expensive, and not many people had them. And the only reason we had them was because my mum did a lot of work with a company or companies that use computers in order to log data. So she did work for companies where computers were attached to data loggers that sat in a field monitoring the amount of rainfall that there was, or that sat in a sewer working out how much flow there was through the sewer, or in a reservoir working out what the level of reservoir the reservoir was. So we always had computers around the place because she always basically used to work at home, and so I used to use this thing as well. And that's kind of where I became a kind of amateur hobbyist computer user, even though I never really thought I'd make any money out of it. But that sort of became my second career when the first one ended.
My mum was always playing Nightmare on the Spectrum Plus 2.
I had a Spectrum Plus 2.
The reassuring screech of the tape loading. It's lovely, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yes. It's funny when you go around. If you're someone of my kind of generation, you go around computer museums. So there's one in Bletchley,
the National Museum of Computing. I know it very well.
Yes, indeed. Yes. And also there's a very good one here in the Netherlands in where is it? Helmond, and it's a sort of a museum of home computing, and you'll find guys of a certain age wandering around there on a Saturday afternoon, pointing at things, going, "Yep, I had one of those," or "I used that. Yes, I had one of these." Yeah, so it's. I think we were sort of. That's one of the reasons why I really liked the book, actually, because Bill Gates says in his introduction that actually playing with computers, you felt really like a pioneer. You really felt like you were at the forefront of something, and because not everyone had this, not everyone was so privileged, and that's exactly how I felt. Whenever you did something or you achieved something, and bear in mind, there's no internet to look up stuff. You can't just go onto YouTube or Google to work out how do I write a program. You had enormous manuals, huge forests of paper that you had to try and get through in order to write a program. And so when you actually got something working that was pretty good, you really felt like, I've achieved something, and you felt kind of like at the vanguard of it. Whereas now, picking up coding, it's great, don't get me wrong, but there's so many resources. You can just go online and work out how anyone can do that now, which is, that's really good. But back then, it was a much more different world.
Oh, it was. Obviously, we're in very different tracks in terms of computer skills here, Matt. And part of my degree at university was information technology, and the core sum of my 3 years studying this was to make a windmill that went round, animated slightly, using C++.
Okay.
That it was hell. Right. It was hell to create, and pretty disappointing result at the end. I didn't even feel that great a sense of achievement. I just thank God I got it over the line. You know what I mean? But still, moving on. Obviously, this is the reason why we have you on the podcast this week. Clearly, obviously.
Yeah.
I'm not sure he's answered our question, but it was very interesting. Tell us.
No, I thought that where this comes back to the subject of the podcast is did feel kind of a kindred spirit with him, because he's clearly a techie, he's clearly a nerd, he's clearly interested in how this stuff happens, and he's clearly willing to invest an awful lot of time into doing something that made him feel like he's kind of at the leading edge of something, which I share in that. When I was getting into using computers, that's exactly how I felt as well. So
I want to come back to that, because I think there's an interesting point when the theme of this book, I think a lot of it is the luck that Gates had in terms of where he was born, when he was born. And I should imagine that the level of coding talent of a 13-year-old Matt Jones was probably not that far off the level of coding talent of a 13-year-old Bill Gates. But he had the right people around him. He had... he was in the right place, i.e. the western coast of the United States, in Seattle, where Boeing were based. So it was emerging there at that time. But for about 15 years, I guess, Matt, or maybe a little more, the stuff you were doing probably wasn't that different to what he was doing, I should imagine.
Well, just writing little programs and just writing little, just experimenting really, and seeing what you can do with this piece of equipment. I mean, one of the key one of the key points in the book, one of the key moments in the book is where he goes from just writing code or writing programs that are just sort of games or simulations, stuff that's interesting but not particularly useful, to writing things that are actually useful, and therefore things that would be useful to other people, and therefore things that would be commercially successful. And that's, you get kind of a shift. There's kind of a shifting moment where he realizes that actually this thing is or what he can do with a computer is actually going to be useful for other people as well, and therefore is a way of making money. Yeah,
absolutely. Now, Matt, you're new. I mean, you painted you painted outside the lines there a little bit. You've gone on to talk about the book before. His Holiness Steve Phillips has given you permission to do so.
I'm sorry.
The only reason, well, up until now, that people listen to this podcast. Do you remember Steve Phillips' amazing ability to read a script cold?
He's famous for it.
Yes, I think we need to. I think actually, in all honesty, Matt, we were all like that. I don't want to sort of be. I really was just one of the rank and file. You don't want to get ideas above your station, but I could. A utility player, essentially solid. I mean, what would you call me? I don't know, Dennis Irwin. I don't know. What would you call me? Just someone who's just solid, unremarkable, but he's always there.
Shit.
No, you weren't. You were great. You ingratiated yourself with all the presenters of all the BBC radio stations, and your relationship with the BBC Asian network is world renowned. Yeah.
Oh yes, I was just going to say that.
Absolutely right. I could never have with Keith Skews what you had with your presenters there.
Anjem Rafiq and Ray Khan.
Rafiq and Ray Khan. Yes. There you go. Exactly that.
Now listen, so you stop avoiding it, Steve. You've got to read us the blurb from the back of the audiobook. Go.
Bill Gates is one of the most transformative figures of our age. In source code, he takes us back to his beginnings. He describes with candor his childhood in Seattle, the centrality of family, his close relationship with his card-playing grandmother, and his demanding but caring parents. He struggles to fit in, his rebelliousness, his first deep friendships, and the impact of losing his closest friend. We see Gates' extraordinary mind developing, the restless teenager who discovered a love of coding and computing at the dawn of a new era and felt that by applying my brain, I could even solve the world's most complex mysteries. We see the earliest signs of his phenomenal business acumen with... You see, this is the problem with the build-up, right? It's the problem with the build-up.
Do you know what?
You make a fluff. Do you know what? I'm looking at it for the first time and then just seeing it scroll on and scroll on and scroll on. Like, how long is this blurb?
There's a lot of it, isn't there? There's more than usual. I think you've done enough and made your point. Do you have any feedback, Mr. Jones?
I think it's pretty obvious. Apart from the fact I stopped halfway through after making a slip-up. Yeah,
I think that's very...
No one noticed. It's fine. No one noticed.
What you've done is you've embodied the ADHD by losing interest halfway through there.
I'm like column off Derry Girls.
We've all moved on.
Yeah.
All right. Shall I wheel us back in?
Yeah.
I'll tell you what we should do. Let's have a little bit of a clip that sums up the historical where he grew up geographically and historically.
My sister Christy and I, and later Libby, were part of the huge cohort of kids, baby boomers, born in the period of prosperity and optimism that followed World War II. The Cold War was in full swing, and the civil rights movement had started. Weeks after the tornado hit, Kennedy locked horns with Khrushchev over Soviet missiles in Cuba. On the last day of that crisis, as the world avoided nuclear conflagration, I was in our living room, opening presents on my 7th birthday. Within a year, 250,000 people marched on Washington, D.C., where Martin Luther King Jr. said he dreamed that one day our country would be a place where all men are created equal. Awareness of these historic events came to me in snippets, just names and words overheard as my parents watched the CBS Evening News and talked over stories in the Seattle Times.
Matt, I was rather taken by the writing there. It was very evocative, very gentle, but also slightly poetic, I thought. Do you think he wrote this, or do you think it's ghostwritten?
I don't know. That's a very good point. Not one that I actually paused to consider. It does sound, maybe there's a hand of someone with a poetic flair on it, maybe.
Yeah, I don't know, but it's really that chapter in particular. So there's sort of the second chapter after. So Bill Gates reads the prologue, and then Will Wheaton takes over to read the rest of it. I just found that chapter to be. I don't know. It took me back there to the Seattle of the 1960s. Seattle's a lovely place anyway. I've been there a bit. It rains 270 days of the year in Seattle, I seem to remember. But it's the Seattle of the Space Needle and of Boeing and of the World's Fair in 1967. And I just... 1962, sorry. And I don't know, I was transported back to the time. It felt like history being told by someone who was still alive.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. It did come to life, actually, that particular section where he's sort of setting the scene for his for the sort of the placing of this story.
It's very eloquently written, wasn't it? It's a really lovely piece of prose, actually. Whoever, maybe Bill Gates might come out with some sort of romantasy novel next.
No.
As a follow-up.
You're just trying to make me say Nobbing Goblins again, aren't you?
Yep. Absolutely right. They're going to be on in a few weeks, so yeah.
So time and place is one of the things where Gates says that he's lucky. There's humility in his writing, isn't there? No, I think that.
Yes.
Is it genuine?
Yes.
I don't know.
Well, I think so. I think he's quite sort of. I found he had quite a bit of self-deprecation and sort of self-effacing ness, if that's a word. He's. I mean, we're so used these days to tech bros and the billions they make out of selling us computer products or IT products. But this is much gentler and much. He's very down to earth and very, very sort of self-deprecating, and also quite observant and. He's sort of, as you heard in that clip there, he sort of frames that very nicely, and so you get a good sense of where we are and where we are in space and in time, and sort of what's going on in the world as well. I'm probably parallels to be drawn with our own age around that, with as I say, with young men who've made billions of dollars from selling us things to do with technology.
I've always wondered actually that because they're termed tech bros, isn't it? Because there aren't any women. Well, I mean, maybe tech sissies.
Yeah,
and that's not right, is it? That's not wrong. It doesn't work either. It's a real shame. And Tetrises, yeah.
And sort of bro sort of, I guess, encapsulates that kind of jockey sort of way that they interact with each other. And interact.
It's relentless, isn't it? You'll watch a YouTube clip or something. It gets interrupted. You'll be watching, I don't know, some Attenborough YouTube clip of wildlife, and suddenly get interrupted by some loudmouth techie just going, "Are you wasting your time not learning AI? You're going to get left behind. You can do this." And they shout at you. You just think, "Will you just please pipe down? I'll do it in time." But it's interesting. To your point, sorry, I was going to raise a serious point there, but Bill Gates' humility and his self-effacedness. Really, I found sort of watching clips, and you've probably seen these clips of sort of D3 conferences when Steve Jobs and Bill Gates are sat in the same interview panel, and the difference in their personalities, it felt like you got more kind of that more sort of humility came from Bill Gates rather than Steve Jobs. I mean, they were both very cordial to each other, to be fair, but obviously at times they were in competition, weren't they? Despite obviously people. They did work together as well.
There's a great bit in this book, Steve, where Bill Gates meets Steve Jobs for the first time and goes, "He was very rude." But I'll tell you something else that they have in common, and Matt, you may be able to help me with this, is terrible hygiene. So I think Bill Gates, he paid for the laundry service at university. And he beat the record of not having his sheets collected for 6 weeks. And Steve Jobs famously had a bit of a hum to him. But in recent interviews, I've seen Bill Gates publicising this book, and he's gone, he's taken the time to speak to the BBC at that sort of national level twice. But he's been admitting that, were he born today, he would probably be diagnosed as somewhere on the autism spectrum. Is that to do with
that point.
Is that to do with the tech bros as well? Is there a lot of it about in your world, Matt? I think I would ask.
Oh, definitely. And actually, the stereotypical, I think, perception of software developers is that we are much happier interacting with computers than we are interacting with other people, and that we sort of are rather shy, antisocial people who sit there with our headphones on, tapping out incomprehensible things on a screen, and have very little time for things that don't obey our instructions like computers do. And I think that can be it's certainly a fair assessment, I think. But I think in the modern world, I think kind of you're expected as a software developer to be at least a little bit more sociable and a bit more outgoing and a bit more human. But certainly you do, as a developer, you do encounter other developers who are very much of that stamp.
The thing about Bill Gates as well, in terms of this, he's not just a software developer. And again, going back to the luck thing, he writes that his mother was an incredible networker and one of those driven parents who always has activities for the kids, and they tried very hard to socialize him. And his father was a lawyer, and he admits himself that he was not the nicest of people, either as a child or even at Harvard. But there seems to be something more to him. He does seem to be vaguely aware of social cues, Matt, I think.
Yes, I think he's maybe that. I'm not entirely sure how much of that is sort of reflected on after the fact, and from the perspective of the autobiographer, rather than the person who was there at the time. But yeah, certainly, I think he does. Shall we say, look like one of us?
Yeah, but the interesting thing was that we opened with the thing of him hiking through snow, and he wasn't very good at team sports, but he was very competitive, and I think that's one of the things that drove him. I mean, the idea that he was at the age of 13 talking to his mates about royalty-related business models and licensing agreements, and was competitive about that. I think that's the difference between 13-year-old Bill Gates and 13-year-old Matt Jones. What do you think?
Yes, definitely. 13-year-old Matt Jones would have had no concept of this. I just wanted to make the computer do cool stuff. And I think so did he, but I think he had much more acute sense of what would be useful to other people as well, rather than just doing it for your own enlightenment. I bet you regret stuffing up that cold read now, Steve. You're under threat. Isn't he eloquent? Isn't he lovely?
Isn't he brilliant? Yeah, I think this is my last audio book club. I think I don't need me anymore.
Oh, stop! All right, you're embarrassing us both.
Let's move on, and I know you're very keen to talk about this, Matt. The book itself. Steve and I have a thing where we have a little thing. When I see the little yellow sticker that says "read by the author," it's not always a good idea. We shall discuss that after an extended clip.
While he was still at Lakeside, Rick had gotten a part-time job programming for a company that studied traffic flow on Seattle area streets. It was a high-tech job in a very low-tech business. The company, called Logic Simulation Co., collected data on traffic flows with boxes installed on the side of the road. When a car or truck rolled over a rubber hose, the box recorded the time by punching tiny holes in a paper tape. Cities and states used the data to help make decisions about things like traffic light timing and road repair. The machines produced rolls and rolls of paper tape that had to be manually tabulated. For a little while, Kent and I did this piecework, a tedious job. Kent wanted to expand, hire younger kids at Lakeside as subcontractors. He pitched Lakeside's administration. Pretty soon, we had a handful of 7th and 8th graders working for us.
Child slave labor. Anybody who knows will know why I've chosen that piece. But Matt, how would that have been read by Bill Gates?
Yeah, so that was my actually when you first sent me the link to the book and I first downloaded it and started listening to it just to make sure I'd got it. I was rather confused because I thought I'd got some kind of AI rendition of the book, and it was only afterwards that I realized that actually Bill Gates himself is reading the prologue and the epilogue, and the hard work is done by Will Wheaton. Will Wheaton, of course, a good choice for this, sort of child actor, also a nerd. Mm-hmm. And yeah, Bill Gates, I think, is not a natural narrator. His voice sounds sort of faintly robotic.
And it's squeaky as well, isn't it? And he admits this in the book, along with the fact that he's known for rocking back and forwards when he's thinking. He knows that he's got a squeaky voice that isn't necessary. So I guess that implies a certain amount of self-awareness, doesn't it? And why he might have gently taken a step back. Yeah,
I think so. And I think actually Will Wheaton does bring the body of the book kind of off the page a lot more. The prologue and the epilogue, which is read by Gates himself, is a little bit sort of monotonic, really. It's monotonous. It's a bit sort of robotic, as I say. But actually, Will Wheaton does a good job of kind of making it come alive and adding some dynamism to the words. I think. I mean, I don't know why we would expect a tech billionaire, the first tech billionaire, to also be able to to narrate things, but yeah, it's the little yellow sticker that says read by the author is only partially true.
And I've got a cousin, and she's going out with this amazing guy, a former professional athlete, and he is 6'5", incredibly good looking, great with my kids. We went to the beach in Australia on Boxing Day, and he turned up in a Christmas jumper rashi. So he, made himself look foolish and had a sense of humor. In his first year of being an athlete, before blowing out his knee, he managed to stash away enough cash to buy himself a house and pay for his degree afterwards when his sports career didn't continue. And I said, this guy is so irritatingly perfect. And then we went to a birthday party, and I stood next to him when it was time to sing Happy Birthday. He couldn't hold a note. I was not a kid. I was delighted. Absolutely delighted. I'm really glad that.
There you are.
That philanthropist billionaire.
Yeah.
Bill Gates.
Tone deaf loser.
Yeah.
So as you crawl out from underneath your cardboard box in a doorway, you can say, "Well, at least I can sing."
I can't sing. I can hold a tune better than that, though. I think at times, look, that clip about the transport software enterprise they went into was not the most exciting of pieces, but I think Will Wheaton managed to keep it from being as dull as it would have been had Bill Gates read it. There are times, though, and I don't know if you found this, Matt, where Wheaton gets a bit bored and over-eggs it a bit, and it doesn't sound like Bill Gates. He sounds far too excited.
Yes. Well, I mean, it's not a terrible... I mean, what Bill Gates did really was not terrible. I mean, if you're looking for an autobiography of a tech person who was really involved in kind of the marriage of technology and product, then Steve Jobs is the one to go for, because not only was Steve Jobs a great technologist, but he understood really deeply about how people interacted with technology and how on what people's expectations have about interacting with technology. Bill Gates, I mean, he made MS-DOS. I mean, that's that's not going to set the world alight, really, in terms of an audiobook.
It's interesting comparing the covers of the two books as well. And Bill Gates must be slightly irritated because the whole Apple aesthetic and the simplicity of the stuff they do. The cover of the Steve Jobs book is a picture of Steve Jobs and some writing, but somehow it manages to look incredibly stylish. The cover of this book looks as though it's been done by an 8-year-old who's stuck a childhood photo of Bill Gates and then scrawled around it. I think it's kind of it's a metaphor for comparing the two of them, isn't it? Really?
Yeah, I think so. I'm just trying to look online to find the cover, but I know what you mean. The Steve Jobs one, the Steve Jobs cover of his autobiography looks very much like it was designed as an Apple product itself.
And this one was banged together in a garage in Seattle. So Steve Jobs, irritatingly for Bill Gates, I'm sure, effortlessly much cooler than Bill Gates is. But again, which one of them, if you had to choose, gun to your head, which one would you rather have as a flatmate?
I think probably Bill Gates. I think Steve Jobs had from all of the evidence of that's given in his biography and from other people who've written about dealing with Steve Jobs, you know that he was a perfectionist and someone who held people to very high standards. Bill Gates seems a little bit more benign, really, and
manageable.
And probably easy to get on with.
I guess you wouldn't hear so much shouting and ranting upstairs, would you, really, from Bill Gates, and just berating people over the phone or something about getting their assignment done or whatever. Yeah.
Well, unfortunately, what that means, actually, Matt, as you've chosen Bill Gates, the bad news is in this particular universe, Steve Jobs and I are having the flat upstairs, and it's going to be very noisy.
Does that mean I've got to live with Elon Musk?
We're going to rename you. Your name is Zed.
I couldn't get... Yeah, thank you. I couldn't get over that. Obviously, Walter Isaacson followed up his Steve Jobs biography with Elon Musk's autobiography, with exactly the same cover design as Steve Jobs's. Exactly the same. Elon Musk by Walter Isaacson, big picture of Elon Musk's face, and that's it. Same font and everything. And I thought, it doesn't really,
I'm still trying to get the word Elon Muskery into the dictionary. I want it to be word of the year next year.
Muskery. What are you wearing? Elon Muskery.
the heady notes of Elon Musk.
For tech bros. Tech sissies. Yeah.
Steve, get us out of here. We're boring people.
Right then. So, Matt, thank you so much for joining us and guiding us through a potential minefield of coding there with not Steve Jobs, with Bill Gates, because that was a great pleasure. Indeed.
We're not worthy.
We are not worthy. Please
we
come.
We are not worthy.
Will you please come back again when we do a fantasy novel? Actually, at the start of the podcast, I did ask you, will you listen to another audiobook, and what are the sort of books you'd be interested in listening to?
Yeah, I'd love to. I do actually very much. I'm not hugely into fiction, but sort of non-fiction biographies. I love biographies. Yeah, so I'd be happy to do that. But whatever.
Which one would you want to? Could you foist upon us to read from the top of your head a biography that you've enjoyed that you'd be curious to see how it translates into an audiobook?
Oh gosh, that's the question.
And your time starts.
It's not really an autobiography. It's more of a... I recently read Anthony Seldon's book about the short-lived...
yes.
And the short-lived Liz Truss premiership.
Right. We'll do a politics special one week and really like the blue touch paper. Yes,
right.
The true blue touch paper.
This is too dangerous. Should we not
I'd love to hear Liz Truss's autobiography. Is that what you're saying? No, of course not. No, it's obviously the Anthony Seldon book. No, nice. I'd be interested to read that as well, because he does all the prime ministers, doesn't he? And then obviously, Liz
yes, he does. Yeah, and I've not read his. Because I'm assuming he did one about Sunak and maybe Johnson, but
the Truss one would be wafer thin.
Yeah, but I've
a novella.
Yes, I've certainly read the Liz Truss one.
Pamphlet.
The pamphlet.
Well, seems like a good choice. We'll stick it on the list, Matt. But thanks again for your time in reviewing Source Code: My Beginnings by Bill Gates, read by Bill Gates and Will Wheaton of Star Trek. 4th of February it came out, 11 hours 42 minutes from Penguin Audio. And actually, are you into your history, Matt? Are you interested in history at all? Oh, well, I've got one for you next week, in fact. Do drop in if you want to. Jenny Draper is a huge YouTube hit. So she's got a channel on YouTube where she talks about all matters historical. Fantastic historian, and focuses on people you may not necessarily have heard of, but were really cool or quirky in some way, shape or form. And she's brought out her first book, which is called Mavericks, Life Stories and Lessons of History's Most Extraordinary Misfits. Speaking of Steve Jobs. It's read and written by Jenny Draper. It's 8 hours, 21 minutes. Came out about just over a week or so ago as we record from Watkins Publishing. That is the subject of next week's book. There you go. Tantalizing. Get downloading now if you can. We think you should. And if you are listening to anything else that you think we should be listening to, we are on all the socials, Blue Sky, where we are indeed on X or on Facebook, Instagram, Truth Social, Bebo, MySpace,
Dog,
CFAX. Like us on CFAX. We're on all of them. Give it a crack, and we'll just say goodbye to each other and everyone else.
We nearly went 3 weeks without you saying CFAX there. You've just ruined it. It's always been about CFAX.
Press green to reveal. Right. Well, I'll move everyone on with their lives and onto your next podcast in your feed, which is likely to be a bit more depressing, if indeed it is, the newsagents or the rest of politics, given what's going on in the world. So we'll leave you to that, and we'll see you next week with a bit of Jenny Draper. Thanks again, Matt, and thanks again, Matt.
Thank you.
Later.
Bye.
Audiobook Club with Steve Phillips and Matthew Layton.
Right, there we go. That
Love it.
solved that problem. Steve, you can go
fun.
off and do Press Green to Reveal. It's your new podcast. I'm keeping Jones.
Press green to reveal. The saucy, filthy novel based on CFAX.
So the irritating thing, Matt, is that every week with this boy, I've read the book twice. I've made extensive notes. I've weeded down the clips to 3. I've decided some things I'm going to say, and ways I'm going to stitch Steve up. And then he always gets line of the show. It's really irritating.
Oh, mate, it's not true. Oh, by the way, I forgot to do something. I have a gift for the both of you, which tied into everything we've been talking about.
Oh, hold on.
I'm just going to send it on the chat.
Are we still recording?
I'm not recording on my audition.